Deal or no deal? That's the game we're going to be playing today. So I'm taking a random post inside of our free Facebook group, The Vault, that was promoting a deal. I actually got tagged in the post, and I'm going to analyze this deal from the eyes of being the end buyer. So I'm going to look at what was presented, how the deal was marketed, and I'm going to underwrite the deal and see if I would be willing to pursue this deal. So let me share my screen. Boom, baby. Here is the post inside of the vault. RJ Bates III, Cassie DeHaas. Perfect sub-2 deal in rural Mississippi. I'm not sure that is how I would have kind of marketed this deal because, one, rural, normally not good. Also, Mississippi, kind of notorious for being kind of slim deals, not the greatest of markets. Rural Mississippi is kind of like a double whammy, but we'll move forward. Ideal for a homestead or wrap buyer. So we are investors inside the vault. There's no homestead buyers. Okay. A wrap buyer. All right. Now that's very, like, you're getting like slim buyer pool. Lots of room for expansion with a 2-acre lot. Okay. I will say right off the bat, it's not the sexiest of like opening lines. For me, a couple things that just really throw the deal right off the bat. Rural Mississippi, ideal for a homestead or wrap buyer. So what I'm hearing is limited exit strategies. And when I look at creative deals, I always start with exit strategy determines your acquisition strategy. Okay. Now, that being said, Heidelberg, Mississippi. All right. So I'm going to go here. Heidelberg, Mississippi. All right. Town in Mississippi. Okay. We found it. The population was 718 at the 2010 census, down 840 at the 2000. It's saying in 2022, the population had dropped to 621. Really just not good. You don't want to see population dropping. You especially don't want to see population that low. It's out there a ways from Jackson, not close to Gulfport, Biloxi. I mean, it's pretty far away from all of the major cities. Again, just things that when we're analyzing deals, we have to. How many buyers are we going to have in Heidelberg? I mean, quite frankly, we only have 600 people that even live there. Okay. Moving forward, though, say I want to underwrite the deal for whatever reason, close on or before October 4th. Okay, ARV is 145. It needs no repairs. It's a 3-bed, 1-bath, 1,300 square feet, year built, 1958, lot size acres. I like how this was, outlined. Good information. Sub-2 terms. The entry fee is $11,307. The loan balance is $128. Maturity, July of 2052. Interest rate, 5.5. A monthly payment, the PITI is $1,052. The estimated long-term rent is $1,200. And then the short-term rental is $1,825 at a 75% occupancy. Okay, so we don't have an address, so we have no way to directly comp this property. I will say, as an end buyer, normally what I assume is when someone says the ARV is 145, it's more like 130, 135. I'm just more than likely going to be like the wholesaler is wrong, and I think most end buyers feel that way. And then this just looks like, hey, we're not going to have any equity and not much cash flow. But let's look into it. 39439. Okay, so I'm going to go pretty first. 39439. See if that pulls up anything. Looks like we don't get anything that way. All right. Let's just look up the town, Heidelberg. See, oh man, nothing there. All right, let's see if we get anything. Uh-oh. Heidelberg. Heidelberg, Mississippi. Let's see if we get anything over here. All right, so we do get some information. Again, this is why we need addresses, because we're not getting a whole lot of information. Estimated value on an 1,800 square foot was 272. We're 1,300 square feet. 204. 2,400 square feet. Maybe we're further out of town. These seem a little bit larger than ours. 1,800 estimated value 97. So see, I don't really have a way to underwrite this based off the information provided. Now, going back to this, please PM me directly for more information or call. So they did give a phone number. I do like the fact that they gave their phone number. The PM me directly. The problem with that is from random people, direct messages can get lost in the spam folder on Facebook. As an end buyer, you're asking me to kind of take the action to reach out. I'd much rather say, hey, comment on here with your email and I can send you the information if you want it or something like that. This was pretty tough. Let's look. We do have pictures, so let's look here. There's the kitchen. Again, what we're looking for here is just validation that this really doesn't have any repairs needed. Looks good. I will say it doesn't look like the hot water heater is lifted. It looks like it's sitting on the ground. That's something that comes up under inspection. Looks like we might have ceiling tiles. Again, some of this stuff, because we don't have direct comps to look at, we don't know what we're comparing to, right? What did the 145 go for? Now, I will say this is a pretty fresh loan, so it probably did appraise for about 145 at one point in time. Cute little house. I mean, it's a cute property. I don't love this. Not that there's anything that can be done about it. I don't love having the electrical panel in a bedroom, but we can look past some of these things. So that's what we've got there. Going back to the write-up of information. From a buyer's perspective, the entry fee is not terrible, right? We're staying pretty close to that 10% entry fee. But what is my exit strategy? Because realistically, it sounds to me like the only exit strategies that are viable for this is I do a wrap or short-term rentals. Now, I have no idea how in a town of 600 people, we would be able to maintain a 75% occupancy on a short-term rental. And I also do not believe in underwriting deals with the short-term rental exit strategy at all. Like, I think you're limiting your buyer's pool. There needs to be a better exit strategy available. And if your end buyer decides that they want to do short-term rental, let them do that. But what is our job as a wholesaler is to provide equity and cash flow. So when I look at this, there's no equity, there's no cash flow. I really just don't like the deal. And then let's say we get someone to come in and we sell this, we assign it to an end buyer who does a wrap. The long-term liability for you as a wholesaler, where you are telling this seller that you're going to buy the property subject to their existing mortgage, and then you assign it to someone else for a wrap, it needs to have complete transparency as to what's happening there to remove yourself from the liability of what happens if that wrap by your end buyer does not pay the underlying mortgage with the proceeds. What happens if the person who buys this on the wrap does not make a payment? Do you have the confidence in that end buyer that they are going to maintain payments even though they might not be receiving payments from the owner occupant at that point in time? This, to me, is not a deal. This feels like a manufactured deal, not understanding when and why to use sub 2. And I'm not saying this deal won't make it to the closing table. I feel like deals like this or properties like this make it to the closing table every day. I just don't think that they should be making it to the closing table with these terms. Rural city, a town of 600 people, no long-term cash flow, only short-term rental cash flow at 75% occupancy in a town of 600. Realistically, the only exit strategy being a wrap. Quite frankly, I don't believe wholesalers should be assigning deals for another end buyer to come in and do a wrap on those. I think that is getting a lot of people in trouble. You see it across social media inside of Facebook groups where it's like, hey, I got a deal under contract sub 2. I signed it 2 years ago, and my buyer now is no longer making payments. And that seller is now calling me, freaking out, saying that their credit's being crushed. They're facing a potential foreclosure on their record. These are the types of things that are going to get us in trouble when it comes to sub 2. And I'm not saying that this particular wholesaler that posted this inside of the vault knowingly made this mistake. This is why I wanted to do this video where it's like, hey, really sit down and think. This is why I talk about embracing no. This is why I talk about making sure that you understand the exit strategy determines the acquisition strategy. Just because you know how to get a deal under contract subject to the existing mortgage does not mean that you should do it for every deal that comes along with low to no equity. It needs to be, there's low to no equity, but there's cash flow on the long-term rental side. Okay. Now that is a viable solution, but even then, there's still a huge liability that comes across for you as the wholesaler when you are assigning that deal to an end buyer who now is going to be responsible for making those payments. You need to be communicating this with the seller. You need to have complete transparency across. And even then, you still are holding yourself liable to this deal until that mortgage is paid off. There's always a possibility of that end buyer not making payments. Something could happen in their life where they can fall in hard times. And who is that seller going to come back to? They're going to come back to you. So on this deal right here, deal or no deal? No deal. I don't like it for various different reasons. And I ask every wholesaler, start underwriting your deals from the lens of the end buyer. Looking at it from, does this exit strategy make sense? Would I keep this as a long-term rental with $147.48 a month in cash flow? Absolutely not. That will not cover any vacancy. That will not cover any maintenance. That will not cover any capital expenditures. And it for sure doesn't cover any property management. Okay. And then start off with the easiest reason as to why we should have said no to this. It's in a town of 600 people where over the past 20 years, the population has actually dropped by 40%. This is absolutely not a deal. I don't think this deal should have been contracted. So I'll have to pass on this as the end buyer. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Give me a like if you liked today's video. We'll see you guys tomorrow.